Good evening from me and my flat tire. This is my '09 Equinox and I have a bad button. Door doesn't want to open. I have a new button for it. I've already gone through and diagnosed all of this stuff, so I'm going to show you how I diagnosed it and then show you how to replace it. On this specific car, there's a couple different ways to open up this hatch. I'm going to show you two anyway. And that's basically the first step, because I'm pretty sure you have to replace this button from the inside. Mine has a bunch of green stuff and you can't even see if it's a rivet or a screw, so we're just going to do this. The first method here, now keep in mind that I've studied the wiring diagram for this car. Pop this guy off, and this 15 amp fuse right here is what runs that rear hatch, because it's an electric latch. And so when you press the button in the back, it powers this circuit. And most circuits don't work like this, so you need to make sure you're not just blowing stuff up doing this. So I'm going to hold this on that fuse, and this 20 amp right here I happen to know is the heated seats, and it has constant power. So I don't know if you can hear it, but the hatch is opening. And with this car, it doesn't have an automatic rear hatch open, so you got to have a friend pulling on it for you to actually get it open, because it'll reset, then it doesn't open. And it's just, that's just one method. So this way will tell you though if the latch system is working. Put that back, and I will show you the second way of how to open this up in a much more practical way. Just a quick note, this is why you need the friend to help you, because the door will half open like this and then not do anything. Now, a much better way of opening this hatch is from the inside. Put all this stuff down, crawl in here. Get that out of the way. There's a little round plug right here, and if you get a little flat screwdriver kind of like this, you can get under it, pop it up, and hopefully that you can see in there, but there's a little latch with a circle in it, and if you push that with a flat bladed screwdriver, blunt edge like this, you can push it and it will release the latch. Much better way of doing it. So I was originally going to take off this door panel right here, because I thought you had to replace this button from the inside, but after a closer look, because at first glance they're pretty rusty and you can't really tell what they are, at second glance I do believe that they are a Phillips head screw, and because they're so rusty, I'm probably going to get a screwdriver and a hammer and see if I can get past all the rust and crud and see if I can get it to turn. So I've been playing with this for a while off camera. These are in fact Phillips screws, but they are so unbelievably rusty you almost can't tell. I've been whacking them with a hammer trying to get something to go in there and turn, but it's just not happening. So I get to take off the door panel and do this the fun way so I can avoid actually breaking something. So we're going to start with these two Torx bits here and there. They are T30. Make sure to drop it, and then do the other one. And the next thing I like to check for is make sure which panel is on top here. Oops, if I could get under it. As you can see, this panel is below this one, so we don't have to take this one off first. We can just kind of start popping it down. Just firmly and quickly pop it off. Come over here, same thing, and make sure it gets caught on everything and pull it down. So this vapor guard barrier deal, just kind of pick a corner and just gently pound it up. It's just like a putty stuff kind of holding it on there. Sometimes it helps if you take a knife and kind of slice at it. It's about 40 degrees in the shop, so it does not want to come off easily. There we go. And that's what I didn't want to happen. Under ideal circumstances, you'd be doing this when it was hotter, but sometimes you just have to. Alright, it's about 10 minutes later. I got this piece off. I managed to not tear it any more than I already did. Stuff happens sometimes. Throw that away. Okay, so here we have our license plate light. There's one over here, wiper motor, and then here is our button. Okay, as you can see, this little flap, I'm gonna pick that up, unplug that, and in this case, the diagnosis of the button is very, very easy because I've eliminated one component out of the circuit. There's only 2 wires, so you can't mess it up. Get yourself a little jumper wire. Got the latch right here. When you short these together, it'll act as if you're just pushing a button. So you can hear the latch running. So we know 100% sure that our button is toast. So I'm going to continue on by removing this chrome trim. And I'm going to take it off first because this piece here goes underneath of it. So I'm going to take the trim off first. There is just some 10mm screws, it looks like, that hold it. So it shouldn't be a big deal to remove. So let's find out. I have literally not even touched these bolts since I bought the car, and they're not even tight. Oh, that one's tight. Okay. Yeah, 1 out of 4 is a passing score, right? This chrome piece has 2 bolts and some double-sided foam tape, which I now get to replace holding it on. Oh, dang it. If I just latch this, then it can't do it again. I think there's more screws holding that on. Okay, there's a Phillips screw right here in the middle. That should be the last screw before that silver trim comes off. Make sure to drop it. Now we're getting somewhere. Okay, good thing I took off the bolts for this white trim piece too, because it's kind of attached to it. Slice of tape. Okay. Now here's the button we're trying to replace. So now I need to remove this black bracket, plastic bracket. There's 2 studs here with nuts on the other side, and then these are just plastic clips. So I gotta take out this 10mm nut and this other 10mm nut, but guess what? The wiper motor's in the way. So now we gotta get sidetracked and remove that too. Pop off the little plastic cover. Probably a 13, being a GM. They like their 13s. I'm expecting this to fight me, but wow, it might be a good day. Trick to wipers, just grab it like this. Got it. Normally when you do pressure like this, it'll break the seat on it, but that's not what's happening this time. Well, maybe a couple taps from a hammer will make it loose. Start the nut back on here so I can hit the nut, see if that'll break it loose. You remember that time when I said it might be a good day? 3 10mm bolts for the wiper motor. Okay, after some off-camera fighting with this, I ended up screwing the nut onto the stud of the wiper arm. I have removed all 3 bolts of the wiper motor, so it's completely loose. And then I just put some threads on this, but not enough that it was actually contacting this. I put a socket on it so it hits the flange of the nut, and then whacked it with a hammer. And that pushed the stud back through the arm. So now I have this removed. It should just never ever be that hard to remove this, but this car sat for a lot of years in a barn, so I guess that's what happens. Next, the wiper arm should come out fairly easily anyway. It's hanging on a wire there. We'll remove that. Okay, these plugs are fairly simple. Get something kind of blunt like this. Push this gray lock tab backwards and squeeze the black clip, and then that comes out. Now I'm back to where I started of removing these 10mm nuts. Make sure to drop it. Do the second one. I can already tell that these are going to need to come out, so counterclockwise turn, counterclockwise turn, bulbs pop out, no problem. So I got both nuts removed. I got a clip here and a clip here. These will come out from the front. You can use thin side cutters for this. These are specialty clip pliers that work really good. Just kind of go underneath and then pry out like that. Same thing on the other side. Now we have our bracket. As you can see, I'm not really sure if I'm any further ahead than I was before, but I can definitely get these screws easier. Well, what's going to happen is some more brute force. Man, there's no way to get on that. Wonder if I could just break this off and grab them onto them with vice grips. That is some strong plastic. Holy cow. So it is roughly 3 to 4 weeks later. I kind of lost track. I ended up breaking this piece, trying to get this out. I like stepped on it weird, was trying to hold it down. Anyway, what took so long was I was trying to get this piece figured out. I priced one, a brand new one from a GM dealer, included this, and then the button came with it and everything. They just came as an assembly. It was $266, and that seems awful ridiculous, I thought. I called up the junkyard, and I said I need this handle. I got the part number from the dealer, and they sent me just the button. So I fought that, sent it back, and I said no, it's called the door handle, not the button. And then they kept trying to sell me this piece, and they kept asking me what color I needed. I'm like, guys, no, it's... Anyway, long story, took a long time, a lot of me yelling over the phone. So I finally got this from the junkyard, cost $75, and it had this, and that button came with it. I have a new one right here, so I'm just going to go ahead and use it. So when I got this piece from a junkyard, this button that was in it here, it actually just had bolts through it. So somebody had the same exact problem that I am having now, where the screws were stuck in the plastic. And so what they had done was just cut these, well, here's a better reference, cut these little nubs off flat and then pull the button out of it and then just put a bolt and the nut through it. Now unfortunately that means you have to take this whole door apart to change it again, but hopefully that doesn't happen very often. But this is definitely in the name of experience of, if I would have just done that first, I could have just done this and avoided this whole headache. But I have the piece now. What's done is done. I have my, this is a new one. So I'm gonna just go ahead and install this. Went to the hardware store, just a couple of bolts and some washers. Okay, fun fact, I did not catch this before. This has like a locating screw, so this hole is smaller than the other one, and I do not have a drill here, so I guess I'm gonna use the old button. It did work, but we'll see how long it lasts. I don't have a drill here with me right now, unfortunately, so putting the junkyard button back in here. But don't feel bad about replacing the bolts that came with it though, because the bolts that were in it were definitely rusting and needing replaced. If I ever need that button, I'll have it. Okay, there we have our button installed, and reassembly should go way quicker. Let's give it a quick test before I get too far ahead of myself. It works. Slip it into place. There's a white plastic clip here on each side. Snap, snap. There we go. With our door handle installed, we will now put on the two 10mm nuts that hold it on. And double checking that I have my door handle button plugged in, I will now install the license plate lights. There's two of them on this car. Next, I will be reinstalling the wiper motor. I'm going to plug this in first because it's hard to plug in with the metal in the way. And then slide the lock down. Find our rubber grommet. Put the splines through it. Push it through. And there are three 10mm bolts that hold this on. So before I put on the vapor barrier and this trim piece out here, I'm going to install the wiper arm and make sure that it's where I want it, just in case something's wacky. Mental note, it was about level before, so I'm going to put it about there because the motor should still be at rest. Alright, I'm going to go run it through a cycle and see where it stops. Okay. Okay. Wiper stop exactly where I wanted it, so I'm going to give this another little snug just to confirm. License plate lights are working. Button works. Alright, and then I top this off. Whoops. And top this off, put the little cap back on it. So after our wiper motor and wiper arm install, our next step is to reinstall the trim piece that holds the license plate. So now if you're worried about it, you can reinstall it like it was at the factory with this double-sided 3M tape. I don't have any. I don't feel that it's necessary. If water does happen to get in the door from this, the doors are made with drain holes, so I'm not worried about it. Slide it up into the button, line up all the holes. There's a plastic clip here and here, so snap that in. So there are 6 10mm nuts that hold this piece on. There's one here, one there, one there, one here, and then 2 back here up behind the door. So I only have 5, so I mean, where's it going? I only had 5 when I took it apart, so I don't feel too bad. So with the 5 of our 6 nuts installed, we're now ready for the vapor guard. I held this in front of the heater for a few seconds to get the sticky, gooey stuff more tacky so it'll stick better. So all you gotta do is line them up, press it on. Do this side right there. All you gotta do is just press all the glue on. Last step is reinstalling the door panel. So this goes above this because it's been so long I forgot. So I won't have to mess with that. So I just get to stick it on. And our last thing to install are these 2 Torx screws. And I will have to install these tomorrow when I get my Torx a bit, but you get the idea. There we go. If you guys liked this video or it helped you out, please like and subscribe for me. It'll help a lot. Thanks. I told these people that I would wait for a Torx bit. Yeah, right. Installed.